Hey guys, Besa Gordon here. So we are still at the Paramount Theater. This actually is probably going to be my last interview here, and it's really, really interesting to say that because I was able to do like 8 interviews, maybe 10 interviews here, which is really, really dope. So this particular one is going to be from JC of the OVT Network. We're going to actually this time around get to know JC a little more. I know we typically just get right into it, but this time I'm getting all in his business. All right. So look, we are going to talk about all of that and more coming up right here today on Rewind with Besa. Welcome back. You guys are tuned in to Rewind with Besa. Happy day. And what's making this day so great is that you guys know typically when JC and I do our interviews, I am at home in my living room. He is at home in his living room. Today, he is here in Seattle from Atlanta. Welcome. How do I say welcome to the Rewind? I guess welcome out of the virtual reality to the Rewind.
Welcome to real life with Besa.
Welcome to real life. Welcome
Real
to
life
the
with
Besa
Besa.
experience. How do you feel to be back in Seattle after, oh my goodness, the last time that you were actually in Seattle was when there was a whole war going on in Capitol Hill?
So I was actually I put on my story as I was walking up here. I said it's really weird because coming down, what is this, Union right here? Whatever this is, whatever street that the Paramount is on right now, whatever street that the Paramount is on right now, I remember in that square, it actually took me back because I had to this is what it looks like when there's no barricades, when there's not police everywhere, when we're not running from flashbangs or tear gas. Or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, oh, this is a real life kind of thing here. Seattle's real. Okay, cool. It's a real place. All right.
It's not a bad city after,
right.
You know, once all the dust kind of clears out, we don't have SWAT teams everywhere, you know?
The trauma bonds that were formed. I am here because of a trauma bond.
I think we all mentally have a trauma bond with somebody, at least if you even paid attention to it. Like you and I are always having these triggering conversations when we talk about different things that happen.
Absolutely.
Whether it was like the street czar or just random people's popping up at the freaking...
the street czar.
Child, the street czar.
He who shall remain nameless.
Now we're being messy. I was on YouTube and I was Googling him. And so I actually Googled his name. He had a whole plethora of videos on his YouTube channel, and apparently he has an OnlyFans. But the OnlyFans...
Wait, what?
Let me explain. The OnlyFans is lectures of him.
I'm good. I'm not interested.
I was like, I don't know how... I say all of this to say... We had a triggering moment talking about Chop last week because somehow, some way, we were like, whatever happened to the street czar? So we Googled him, and then after we got off, I Googled him some more, and I was like, what is this?
Yes. What is this? Why is it here? Where did it come from? Type of situation. Yeah, absolutely.
So, question. Before you came to Seattle for Chop, is that why you came here directly? Like, because you know you do have your OVT network where you do actually broadcast things. So did you fly up here specifically for that, or were you already here?
Yes. Okay. So we'll take it all the way back. I'll do like a mini intro. So hey, what's up, guys? This is your friendly neighborhood Negro, Jay Carrington, aka JC. I am the owner and one of the personalities for the OVT Network. It's going to be, I am the owner and one of the personalities for the OVT Network, where we tell Black stories. OVT stands for Overthought. I ended up in Seattle for Chop because I saw the news. And I was just paying attention I was like, wow, there's not really much coverage that's not like CNN or Fox, right? And so if we watch TV, like we know that like this is two polar opposites. I was like, you know, there's his side, there's her side, and then there's the truth. So I was like, let me go find out what's actually happening. Like, let me just kind of do my little beat on the street, man on the street type of situation. That was 2 days, supposed to be 2 days, that morphed into about 6 weeks. Just coming backwards and forwards, and just like that was I really wanted to. I'm really big on story, and I'm really big on narrative. And around that time, we had George Floyd, we had Breonna, we had Ahmaud. Like all of these things were happening, and I'm really big on black stories and black narratives. I'm like, this is one of the biggest black stories to come out in the last 10 or so years, right? Like this is like there hasn't been a situation like this since the Bastille in France. Like I want to understand like what's happening like live right here, right now. So like, that's why I came out. That's why I ended up coming out.
Did it change your thought about Seattle and what Seattle looked like and felt like?
Absolutely. First of all, there's black people here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of y'all.
Hi.
Right. I didn't know that this happened. I just thought it was like, Kurt Cobain and rain. Like I didn't really
As it's currently raining.
I had no idea. Like, what's the CD? The Central District. What's that? The Historically Black District of Seattle. Wait, y'all have one? There's enough black people to have a historically black district in Seattle? Okay, cool. Bet. Like, it definitely changed my opinion of this city. It definitely did. So, and the inhabitants therein.
And then also while we're on it, what did CHOP make you think about humanity as a whole?
So one of the most interesting things about the Capitol Hill organized protests, aka CHOP, I think for me, I'd never seen what it was like to organize. Like I'd never seen community aid. I didn't know. I'd never actually been to a protest. Like CHOP was my very first protest. Technically, that's a hell of a way to pop your cherry, considering. But like I'd never actually done or seen any of these things, and so it changed the way that I view political activism or activism in general. I always tell people that CHOP was my first and last protest, just me personally, because I'm tired of begging white people for anything. I'm not gonna beg you to stop killing us. I'm not. No. Call me when you're ready to come outside. I'll be on the porch, But it definitely, like I said, it changed the way that I saw a lot of things, and it also made me realize and understand, like when we see those protests from like the 1950s, and we see how we had all of these different, SNCC, we had the Southern Leadership Christian Conference, we had all of these different Malcolm X, Medgar Evans, Martin Luther King, we had all of these different leaders pop up at once, and it made me understand the politics and the dynamic of what it is to be an activist and be in the limelight. And some people are really here for the cause, and some people are just really here to be on camera. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really understand that until being here. I remember texting friends. I was like, I understand.
The agents of chaos that they would just send out there. They was coming off buses.
Listen, I understand that now. Like I understand. It was like, okay, so this is what it was like to be in the civil rights movement in the 1950s. This is what it was like to be active in a protest. This is what it's like to be tear gas. This is what it's like to have flashbangs. This is what it's like to do, to interact with a militant police force as civilians. Like we got signs and umbrellas. Y'all got like rubber bullets and all this. Like I couldn't grasp it. So it changed a lot.
Being there, and literally being in the situations live and then going home and then seeing how the news would portray it, how did it make you view media, like the news, TV news specifically?
It made me realize that independent media it is imperative to have voices and networks like ours, because you actually get the real deal. It's not like, the thing with popular media or mainstream media is if it bleeds, it leads. Yeah. Right? And so I just remember seeing on Fox News all of these different, it just looks so chaotic. Yeah. And then when you get here, it's like, no, really everybody's just kind of chill.
I legit was still walking to Whole Foods, Right. I'd be like, the protesters are back.
Right.
Hi, guys.
If you watch mainstream media, you would think that it's like a whole live war zone 24/7. And it wasn't until I was here I was like, oh no, most of my time was spent walking around talking to people. You know, the intense moments were literally intense moments. It wasn't like it wasn't one long 30-minute show. It was like literally 30 minutes here, then we got a commercial break. Okay, then we got another 20 minutes, and we got another commercial break. Then we have like some crazy white dude walking with American flag and a MAGA hat on, trying to antagonize people for Fox. Like all of these things that you like, you get to see the behind the scenes of it all. I mean, I ain't gotta tell you that because you got a whole comic book strip out of it.
I do. Shout out to Marshall Laban.
So yeah.
Well, shoot, now that you're back and you're able to actually experience the normal side of Seattle, at some point, Omari ended up introducing you to me to where I was able to literally go through your Instagram and see all these amazing videos about just so many different topics. Like there was one where it was like, is it a threesome or is it a train? There was another one where it was like everyone
got a lot of
is
attention,
gay.
by the way.
Yeah, it did, child. And then I find your podcast where you were like, Kanye West is in a blank box.
The nigger box. Hard R.
And with that, I'm curious to know, when you started your podcast, what was like the biggest thing that you wanted for people to take out of your podcast and your videos? Because the thing is, the titles, as alarming as they are, there's actually logic that goes on in the video. And sometimes you actually learn something and you're like, there's like history facts and everything. Yeah. So what,
So, okay, so the podcast that she's referencing is called Get the Podcast, because I have two. There's Quarantine Talks, and then there's Get the Podcast. So Get the Podcast is where I have, like, I call it a micropod, so all the episodes are under 20 minutes long. And so I always say, like, if you go to the OVT Network's Instagram, you'll see, like, we are trolls for humanity. Like, I am a troll for humanity. I'm a chaos agent. Like, I like to shake stuff up. I like to disrupt, popular or concurrent trains of thought, right? Like, I don't want, my whole goal is I can't change the way you think, but I can change the way that you feel. Like that's what I'm trying to do. I just really want people to think about the words and the ideas that they have, because as we've talked about, like, words have power, words have meaning. People have died behind words that people have said that aren't even the correct characteristic or descriptive noun for them. And so, like, that's just my whole thing. I just really want and desire for people to actually really, really critically think and start a conversation with yourself and other people around the things that we take for granted or the things that we just take as everyday rigmarole, everyday Joe stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, it's interesting. I introduced you earlier today to my buddy Deontay from We Live in Color. And as the both of you are a part of the LGBTQ community, but you're totally different.
LGBTQIA plus negative sign, ampersand, parentheses community, absolutely.
We don't have that kind of time.
We don't. Because white people keep adding letters. Stop. It's not needed. Stop. We get it. We gay.
Everything gets a new letter.
Right. Like, what are we doing right now?
I'm curious to know, what do you feel like people within the heterosexual community need to realize?
You know I don't like that word.
Huh?
You know I don't like that word.
The straight community.
The straights, yeah.
The straights. What do you feel like they need to know? Because I sometimes feel like we'll talk about different things where people will like try you, or like they won't realize that you're gay in the moment. It's just like, it doesn't really have a look, you know what I mean? It's not even
it's not a one size fits all kind of situation.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
So what do you think that people need to do more? Like, is it just more so of hanging out with just everyone rather than just watching TV?
Okay, so before I answer that question, I'm gonna, because everybody just saw, when you said heterosexual, I don't like that word, right? So when I say things like words have power, the words homo and heterosexual do not have any connotation for sexual orientation or sexual preference. The word homo literally means same or human. The word sexual is literally a word that means either or. So if if you see an application, you see the word sex and it has male or female, it's because it's asking you to elect. The word, when it pertains to humanity, means male or female. So the word homosexual literally means the same of both sexes, and the word heterosexual literally means different of both sexes. So this is an example of people being persecuted or classified into a box, if you will, and that's not even what these words mean. These words have no what's the word I'm looking at? These words have no significance as far as sexual orientation is concerned. So, to that point,
and also, I didn't say anything about it, and I wasn't surprised because we've already had this conversation.
You know I was gonna bring it up. I want my Pulitzer Prize, by the way, because like
but that's
I swear,
what I mean in your episodes, though. Like you'll have like a title to where it's like, oh, everyone is like homosexual, but then that what you just did is actually what the breakdown is in that video. So it's like the titles can be very alarming, but when you actually watch it, the education will be like, oh,
it's like clickbait in a positive way.
Yeah, the clickbait you didn't know you needed.
It's not like TMZ that'll be like, Alicia Keys crashed the LA Lakers guest box or VIP box. She's Alicia Keys. VIP tickets and guest booths are for sale. You can't crash something that you bought a ticket for. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? But to your point, if you want to know what straight folk can do, I would say first and foremost, in the words of my grandmother, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. You could just mind your business. Actually just mind your business, drink water, stay hydrated, go for a run. You could do all of these things. That's the first thing. Second thing is, as a lot of my trans friends will tell me, because I don't have that many, but I'm trying to expand that friend group, actually talk to people that are not like you. Right? Be open to different forms of expression and interpretation, and just be actually open to ask questions and receive the answers, not to respond, but to actually understand. So that's what I would say.
Now, as someone like yourself, you've lived through a lot. You have a lot of knowledge. You're always like looking up something, reading different things.
Cat meme.
Literally. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And is a book anywhere in the timeline? Yeah.
You know what's really funny about a book? You are the third or fourth person to suggest that I write a book, and I just don't feel like I don't feel like I've done enough to write a book yet. Like I don't know, like to me, and I know like the standards of writing a book are like literally right here above the floor because of like Amazon KDP. But
voice to text.
Voice to text. In 5 years though, shout out to Small Batch, my coffee company, my cold brew coffee company and tea company. I intend to be opening my second location in Houston.
Come on, second location.
Hopefully be in a relationship. That would be nice. Partnership is dope. And maybe by the second location, I'll have been able to start. I'll begin the process of writing a book. We can do that. Then we can do that. And also be either finishing or working on one of 3 pivotal documentaries that I intend for the OVT to make that'll be game-changing and life-changing. One of which is Chop. Because there's no substantive information on that, it was just kind of like a flash in the pan kind of thing. Yeah. And I've been told that other people have tried to like make documentaries about it or whatever, but like nobody was here like I was here.
Yeah, and
nobody was here like y'all was here. Like nobody.
And I think what it is the people that could do it that were here, they're so traumatized still, and they're just like, I don't even want to be a part of it. So everyone ends up just basically finding news clips and whatever they can find online, but they're not able to get those real authentic interviews, at least, to where someone is really like, this is really what happened to me. I was hiding in this building. Like, nobody wants to talk about it.
I have several. I have several real life interviews, so like that's all in the vault. I have not forgot about it. Shout out to Tarika Powell because we were supposed to be doing a podcast, and we will still do a podcast on the series that I entitled called Interviews from the Chop, which was basically me interviewing different people that were inside of the Capitol Hill organized protests day in, day out, and just wanted to give and share their stories about what happened and all these things. So and I mean, like you said, it was dramatic. Like, how many people died? Like, actually, like what, 5, 6 in the span of 6 weeks? That's like the average of a person a week. Like, it was crazy. Like, people don't know.
That's what we know of.
Human trafficking, police and government corruption. Like, it was a lot, bro. Like, me and O can sit up here and have stories. Like, it was a lot. He knows it was a lot.
So, aside from your alarm clock waking you up in the morning, what is your why?
Good question. Look at you questioning.
I told you I wouldn't.
I know you interview. You out here on your Oprah stuff today. I like it.
Ew.
What's my why? If I'll be selfish, is to say that I do not want to be a failure. And I realize that failure is completely subjective, right? Very, very subjective. But I would say I just have these goals that these things that I have to do. I feel like I have to do it. Like, I feel like before I leave this earth, like, I have to do X, Y, and Z. And then, as cliche as it may sound, changing the world. That's part of the reason why I've been around the world once. Like, I've actually been to 5 out of 6 continents, 6, not 7, because Europe isn't a continent. That's anyway. We're not gonna do that. But I've actually been around the world once, and the reason I did that was because I said to myself, how do you expect to change the world if you've never seen it? And so I got that mindset, and I literally took about 4 or 5 years to circle this globe, go to about 25, 30 different countries, learn a couple new languages, and interact with culture from people that look like me, don't look like me, present like, all of these things. Like, I just really, really have this underlying gut feeling that I'm supposed to do something that pushes humanity forward, specifically Black people. I love y'all. I love us.
One misconception of JC.
I would probably say the biggest misconception about me is that, I'm an asshole. And some people would say that that's not a misconception. That's actually true. I
think that you get what you deserve from you.
I feel seen. I feel seen. Thank you. A lot of people, whenever I talk to people, I always tell people I'm not a nice person. Nice is subjective. Nice means that I did something that you liked, whether I liked it or not, and that pleased you. And so in that way, I'm nice. I ain't a nice person. I'm cordial. I'm polite. I'm caring. I'm compassionate. Nice is not anything that I would use. Nice is not a word or an adjective that I would use to describe me. Like, that's not what we do over here. So yeah, I would say that I'm a mean person. I'm not mean. I'm like one of the funniest, most open.
Hilaire.
Yeah, I just don't try Jesus. Don't try me. That's the only thing I tell people.
Now, what he is honest. Now.
That's it. That's what I would say. That's the biggest misconception. And I'm because I even asked that. I said, what makes an asshole? What are the makings of is an asshole a person that
depends on how you feel?
Thank you. Completely subjective, right? Is an asshole a person that did something that you didn't like, and so therefore that person is now, offensive to you for having the audacity to do or say or be themselves under your scrutiny? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I always ask these, again, troll for humanity. What does that mean? So yeah, that's the biggest misconception is that I'm mean and I'm an asshole. No, I'm just not nice.
To everybody.
That part.
Real quick before we let you go, what is next?
Next is this 9 to 10 day vacation in London that I'll be taking directly tomorrow. As far as career-wise, I'm really focusing on getting small batch up and running off the ground, making sure that we are a cold brew coffee company, but we do fresh and we do freshly and hot brew coffee as well, and tea. So I'm just making sure that all my ducks are in a row, so that way when the next summertime, when summertime comes around, excuse me, and you're in Atlanta, you'll be able to be like, okay, let's get this small batch. Like let's head over here. Like I might not have a location yet, but like it's in my mind that by June of 2023 I'll be closing on a location and having a storefront. So like that's really the thing that I'm working on. It's just making sure small batch is what it is. It's what it's supposed to be, what it's going to be, and make sure it's one of the GMC Yukon of vehicles to take me and other people that I want to bring with me, that deserve to bring with me, to get us where we need to go. So yeah, that's my biggest thing. Shout out to Small Batch Cold Brews.